Morning, everyone. Welcome to Elevenses with the Reps at Diesel Bookstore. Every Wednesday, if you're joining us for the first time, we get together here in our safe book space. It's very white today. Everybody's got, except for me, a very, very white. I think that's it's a theme. We're all very light and white today in this little space, and we talk about books with our publishers, representatives, and our booksellers and our professionals who want to tell you about all of the new and exciting upcoming and recently released titles that they want you to know about so that you can add to your to be read pile. We've got today really such a great selection of reps today and books, and there's literally something for everyone here today. I'm really excited to start talking about it and to introduce everybody. But before I do that, I want to tell you what is going on this week at Diesel. We are having a very busy summer, so I want to tell you about a couple of the events that are happening in the store. And the first one I want to tell you about is happening tomorrow night, which is already August 6th, racing by, at 6:30 p.m. at the store at Diesel. Tim Disney will be discussing and signing the A.R.C, a virus that kills when you lie, a satirical sci-fi graphic novel. So that's going to be tomorrow night at 6:30. It is Tim Disney, as I said, and joining him in conversation will be Mitra Parine. So that is going to be tomorrow at the store. And then the other event that I wanted to tell you about is happening on Saturday. And that is actually going to be at the Santa Monica Public Library in the Emil Jr. Auditorium. And that's 601 Santa Monica Boulevard in Santa Monica at 2 p.m. on Saturday, the 8th of August. Victoria Cassinova and Na Eng are discussing the art of saving democracy, an action kit for making change. So that is going to be a great event on Saturday, August 8th at 2 p.m. at the Santa Monica Public Library. You can find out all the details of these two events and more on our website, dieselbookstore.com. And we've got, the booking into the fall already. So you can check out what's coming up and put it on your calendar. All right. So now let me tell you who is here, and we'll get rolling with our wonderful selection of books and reps today. So joining us from Scholastic, we've got Kristin Rasmussen. It says Scholastic right there in her little box, in case you forget, representing our younger readers, which is always great. And I think, Kristin, it might be your influence that now usually almost every week we have somebody talking about kids' books.
Nice. Good.
Yes. Yes. And they're like, Deborah wants me to talk about this, but I know that they actually want to talk about it. So
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Kristin. We have Will Gawronski from Columbia University Press Consortium. Will is in a lovely, bright room.
It's a hotel.
Yeah. He's on the road, so I always appreciate when you guys are on the road, when you make time to do Elevenses. So thank you, Will. And rounding it up, Shannon Grant from Simon & Schuster. We don't get to see Shannon very often, so I am thrilled that you're here, Shannon. All right. Why don't we get started? Kristin, why don't you start us off?
Okay, happy to. So today I wanted to share, I have 3 new books, or newish anyway, 2 picture books and 1 middle grade for ages 9 to 12. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite picture books. Just came out yesterday. It's called Kiki and the Can. And this is by the wonderful, talented, hilarious, lovely John Leguizamo and his lifelong friend, John Crash Matos. It is absolutely adorable. So basically, this is a story about Kiki, and he goes through his neighborhood, and he is working on spray painting, an art project with his friends. And in the process of doing this, they learn all about heroes, past and present. And the spreads on this, I wish I could show you because they're just gorgeous. It's so colorful and bright and fun. And underneath all that fun and friendship are these just meaningful portraits of like I said, heroes past and present. It's just fantastic. So this one I would say is definitely for that kid who is an artist or aspiring artist who likes art. This gorgeous art they do is phenomenal, and it features some beautiful work. And it talks about people like Coretta Scott King, Dizzy Gillespie, Nellie Bly. I mean, it's absolutely great. Greta Thunberg is in there. So it's just a wonderful story, and it's, peppered with all this gorgeous artwork, and it's also about friendship and family. It packs a lot in a tiny book, but it's wonderful. So this is called Kiki in the Can. It just came out yesterday, and I know that Diesel has some of these on the shelf. If they didn't get snapped up yesterday, they're still on the shelf.
I had no idea John Leguizamo is this the first one, or?
Yes, this is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one of this character. And he and Crash have been friends since they were, young kids. And so working on this together, we've heard them talk about it, at different meetings and things. And working on this together was just a dream come true for both of them. And it really, the love that they have for each other and for where they grew up and for this beautiful art that they have, created in this book is just really shines through. It's just such a sweet, sweet story and has a lot of meaningful explorations in it too. It's great.
That's such a great backstory. Are they going around? Are they gonna go around and visit stores, or?
I don't know if that's in the plan. They're both in New York. At least I know John's in New York, so I'm not sure if that's in the plans, but trust me, I'd love to have them out here to LA.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course. And
I'm hoping we'll see more from them too. So I just think you guys will love it. And I know that there are, at least as of yesterday, there were some on the shelf. So
perfect. Thank you, Kristin. That's a great start. Will, do you have something that can follow that? I'm sure you do.
I can try. I love John Leguizamo, don't you all? I mean, I've been watching, or I've seen an episode or two of the PBS show that he's been doing recently.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's just great. I mean,
it's like
very smart guy. Yeah.
Diversifies his work quite a bit.
Yeah.
You don't see him doing the same thing over and over again.
No, he's so talented.
He's got a lot to say.
Thanks.
Okay, so this isn't really a follow-up to that. This is a little something different. So I've got 3 books that are kind of vaguely on performing arts in various ways. They're all coming out soon, so none of them are quite out yet. But my first one I'm kind of excited about this season. I've got galleys for all of these that I'm taking around on the road with me, is Shakespeare's Tragedies, What Makes Them Great, by Robert Watson, beloved scholar Robert Watson, who's at UCLA. This is such a terrific book. This is from Stanford University Press, coming out, I think, it'll start shipping the end of September. So you'll be seeing it then. It's a hardcover. So Robert Watson is a senior professor who's been teaching very popular Shakespeare classes, most recently at UCLA, but he had taught at Harvard before that. And he's one of those I don't know him personally, but one of those much beloved professors that everyone always talks about how great his classes are and how he makes it come alive. So this is a book in which he looks at the main 5 tragedies and goes through each of them to talk about the history of how they were written and how they've been performed and interpreted over time, but also the themes of them that are especially important to us today. So it goes Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, Macbeth, and King Lear. And what the things that he sort of pulls out of this are so interesting. I mean, some of them are kind of the obvious themes about the books that are still so resonant, like the idea of ambition in Macbeth, or, passion and sexual attraction in Romeo and Juliet and that kind of thing. But where he goes with some of it is so fascinating. Like with both Othello and King Lear, he writes a lot about the nature of love. And is love something that we can demand from people, or that we can sort of have as a transactional thing? Like, I'll give you this if you love me, which is what people are doing in both of those plays. And he says, one of the lessons of the play is you can't do that. It doesn't work like that. So they're humorous essays. They're really pointed. They're so smart and they're so readable. And I would say for people who don't know him, his writing's a bit like Stephen Greenblatt. So if you've read some of Stephen Greenblatt's books over the years about Shakespeare and the English Renaissance, Robert Watson has a kind of similar style to his writing, a little bit less historical than Greenblatt, a little bit more about today, but really wonderful. And I don't get to say this every day, but there is a blurb for this that came from Patrick Stewart,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I love.
And he said, Rob Watson's, he calls him Rob Watson's exciting explorations into Shakespeare's greatest tragedies distill a lifetime of brilliant teaching into a moving, accessible guide that helps us all, readers, audiences, students, actors, to peer deeply into the very heart of the human drama. So that's Patrick Stewart on this book. So very excited about this one.
Yeah, this looks great. It's like taking, when you remember like the best classes you ever had,
Yeah,
that you got the most out of and you had fun taking, but without the stress of having to take a test
right.
at the end of it,
Yeah, exactly.
And I also think that I must say, by the way, that this is like the first week in about 6 weeks where we haven't had somebody with an Odyssey book. But one of the unexpected bonuses of the Odyssey is that it really has spurred not just interest in the Odyssey itself, but other classics, that people have gotten sort of reinvigorated in or like wanting to check out or feel that they're more accessible. And this is definitely something that can help with that. I think it sounds fantastic. I'm always looking for more insights into Shakespeare. I mean, there's so many avenues, that you can go down that I don't know about. So
Absolutely.
yeah, great book. I love the Patrick Stewart quote too. That's great. Thanks, Will. All right, Shannon, what's your first book?
Okay, I'm going to talk about, I've been waiting so long for this book to come out, so I'm so excited. It's Paul Yoon's Etna, and it went on sale yesterday. And the most exciting thing is that it was the number one indie next pick for the month of August. So very, very, we were all at Simon & Schuster very excited to see that happen. And this is one of those when every once in a while, an editor sends us a manuscript way, way, way in advance. And it was like one of those instances where I stopped what I was doing and opened it and just couldn't put it down. So I've been waiting forever to talk about it. Paul Yoon, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he has written quite a few books, Run Me to the Earth and The Mountain and Snow Hunters, all beautiful novels. And his last book was a book of short stories called The Hive and the Honey. I believe that's right. But anyways, spectacular. And I'm just such a fan of his writing. This is a beautiful lyrical story told from Etna's perspective, and she's a war dog. So it takes place in kind of like an unnamed country that's been ravaged by war. And Etna was taken as a puppy and trained as a war dog. And it's kind of, not to bring it all back to the Odyssey, like her, Etna's like Homerific quest to go back to the place that, where she was born. So it's just, one of those books that sticks with you. It's short. I want to say maybe around 200 pages, and it never feels like sentimental, but Paul's writing is just, from Etna's perspective, is just, I think, gorgeous and haunting. And, it tackles all of the things about war with never getting into any of the politics of it. But I think you'll fall in love with Etna and everyone's path they cross on their quest home. So it's just beautiful. And on sale yesterday.
I think a lot of people have been waiting, really, a lot of booksellers have been waiting, are very excited to sell this book, actually. It's been around for a while. I keep seeing great reviews of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that you think has already been out for a while because you've been seeing it so much. And there was, I don't know if you saw this also, Shannon, but there was an article today in LitHub, and we talk about LitHub here. It's, I think, just lithub.com, but it's a great aggregate site full of, book and literature related articles from everywhere. And there was one, and of course I have forgotten who wrote it, but about the enduring popularity and appeal of the canine narrator.
Oh, yeah. I saw it cross my, I haven't had a chance to read it, but it crossed my inbox already. So yeah.
Yeah. And
it's fascinating.
Yeah. So that's also worth checking out, but he's a really beautiful writer. And as soon as I saw the early galley for this one, I knew it was going to be a big book. You know, it's a lovely book. So
Yeah. And it got a glowing New York Times review, also talking a lot about Paul and what inspired him and his deep love for his dog, who I think is a German Shepherd mix. But anyways,
yeah,
lots
yeah.
of glowing
No, I
press.
mean, these are great. They're great stories, you know. But
Yeah.
also booksellers around the country. Indie Next. I mean, that's
Yeah, number one. It was so exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Shannon. All right, Kristin, back to you.
Okay, this one I can promise has no Odyssey references whatsoever. I'm moving you firmly out of that territory.
No, we've been here for so long.
It is a quest of sorts, and it's a quest for friendship. I bet you didn't know that even macaroni and cheese need friends.
Well, Will knows because he'll tell you.
Okay, so this next one is called Mac and Cheese: The Origin Story by the hilarious Michael Benner, and then the illustrations are by Alison Hawkins. This one went on sale not too long ago, July 14th it came out, and I know that Mia at Diesel bought a big stack of these, so they're probably still there. It is such a fun read. It would make a terrific read aloud at a story time if you're a teacher or educator. It would make a wonderful bedtime story. Parents will appreciate the punny humor in this book, and kids will love it too. And I don't know anyone who doesn't like mac and cheese. So I do want to take a second to read you a little bit of the beginning, just to kind of get a sense of what kind of things this story deals with. It's so cute, and the illustrations are brilliant. It reminded me a little bit of Richard Scarry. Just the detail in the illustrations and the background visuals are just really detailed and funny. So it starts out, Mac lived in Pasta Land. The noodles were suave and sophisticated. Some spun tales of twists and turns, while others were real characters. Mac was a friendly noodle and rubbed elbows with everyone, but he didn't have the one thing he wanted most, a friend. I feel like I'm searching for a noodle in a haystack, says Mac. Now you go over. Meanwhile, not too far away in Queso Land, cheese was king. Queso Land was a melting pot filled with quesos of all ages. Most were sweet, some were nutty and a little spicy, and a few had very pungent smells. Cheese was young and new to being king, and while he could be a real crowd pleaser, he didn't have the one thing he wanted most, a friend. And then she says, I feel so provolonely.
So
that's just the first 2 pages, and if you're not hooked, I can't help you. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's adorable. Like I said, the illustrations have a little bit of that scary-esque, like you're in the town and you see all the different cheeses and the different noodles and everything like that, and it's just so great. This one has been doing really well for us since it came out a few weeks ago, and if you don't have a copy, run, don't walk to Diesel, because you will love Mac and Cheese: The Origin Story. And just a little teaser, the next one coming from this wonderful duo is all about cookies and milk and how they got their start.
I was just going to say, you know what would be great?
Cookies and milk. Cookies, yeah. So get ready for that. That's coming.
That is so cute.
It's really
Who
sweet.
doesn't love like some bad, cute puns? That is absolutely adorable. I can think of a lot of adults who would enjoy that as well.
I think so too. It's the story that, the parents aren't going to get sick of reading.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think if you want to justify, further expansion of your macaroni and cheese knowledge, you buy Will's book, which is a great book, and it's called, help me, Will, just the history of macaroni and cheese, or what is it?
It's
Joey,
called
maybe put up
the epic history of macaroni and cheese.
I remember that, Will, that you had talked about that before, and I forgot you were going to be here today, but I should have mentioned we go hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a great display idea.
It's a really good display idea. You're
Yeah.
right.
I mean, you could do an entire macaroni and cheese display, and these two would be in the center.
I'm
Will's
sure
book
there's
is great.
cookbooks. Yeah,
the way.
there's
It's a
lots of.
good family gift combo.
That's
Right,
it.
there you go.
That's it.
Absolutely. See, we're inventing stuff all the time
I
here
know.
on Elevenses. It's great. That's a really cute book, Kristin. I love it. All right. Will, back to you.
Okay. And I'm very supportive of puns in children's books. I think puns are a great way to teach kids. Don't you think? Like, I think puns help you to figure out like how the world works. when you're a kid.
Absolutely.
I love
And
that.
you
You're
know,
right.
some of my favorite kids' book when I was a kid were the Asterix books. I've talked about them on Elevenses before, but I learned so much about Roman history and ancient Gaul and Caesar, and I really and even Egypt, and they kept going different places. They were my favorite books, and they were full of puns. And they had puns in multiple languages too, because they were, so you could enjoy it. You can enjoy it in many different ways. Really good.
So my this book and the next book I have are both music books, so this might particularly appeal to Deborah, I'm hoping. So this is also forthcoming, also from Stanford University Press. This is a book I just think is great called Everything is Everything, Tom Wilson and Pop Music in 1966. That's the official cover. This is just the galley that they've been tinkering with. So I don't know, maybe you have, but I've never heard of Tom Wilson. He was an incredibly influential music producer who died in the 70s, born in 1931, and was this kind of musical prodigy. He was from Texas originally, became a musician, ended up moving to the East Coast. I think he went to Harvard. And then after that, he formed a jazz record label and was the first person to produce Sun Ra, which is kind of a whole story in itself. But this particular book looks at what he was doing in the mid 60s. And this is the part that I just find so incredible about this is in 1966, this particular year that the author's looking at, he produced all of these major white acts that were really at the sort of the peak of their fame. So Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel, the Velvet Underground with Lou Reed, Nico, the Animals. And he also was, I think, the first person to produce Frank Zappa right around the same time. So it's an incredible story of how, behind all of this music that white America was listening to in the mid 60s was a black music producer who had this kind of vision of where music was going and what people would be interested in. So incredibly talented and fascinating. He also did, just as a kind of anecdote, he produced both Bob Dylan's version of Mr. Tambourine Man, but also the Animals' top 40 version of it in the 1960s too. That was a big pop hit. So kind of at the same time, he did these, realizing that the one would be a big breakthrough. So interesting. I think he's one of those people that if he were better known, if he hadn't died when he died, at such a young age, I think we would remember him like a Phil Spector or someone like that for his big impact on music history. So as far as I know, this is the first book to come out about him. It'll be coming out late next month as a paperback original from Stanford. And I think there's a lot of potential for this. I think people are going to love to read his story and hear all about it.
I have no idea.
Right?
Yeah. And I've done a lot of deep research into a lot of these kinds of things, and I've read a lot of these books, but I didn't know about him and these iconic bands and music that he produced. Like, it's new to me. So interesting. I love deep dive that has, expands out in so many different directions.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. I know you've got music books. I'm really excited about it. Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. All right, Shannon.
Okay, so next on my list is a stunning graphic novel called The Nightingales by Emil Wilson. Also went on sale yesterday. I'm super excited to talk about this too. It's a paper over board, just so like an unjacketed hardcover, and it's a little oversized. So just so you kind of know what kind of package you're getting. But it is the story of a girl and her family who's the dad brings a kind of like unannounced, lets a coworker move into their home in the 1980s in a small town in Oregon. And it turns out that he's dying of AIDS and really has, needs some place to go. It's based on a true story, and it is really about this friendship between a teenage girl and this man and her family life. And it's just told in this beautiful, like, graphic novel format, full color throughout, almost even like it kind of breaks the boundary. And it's like some pages are like a scrapbook, some pages are full spreads with no panels. His two Pomeranians that come with him, Henny and Penny, break in, and like whenever things feel like they're getting heavy, they have like a little, like their own little narration of what's going on in their world. But it's beautiful. I feel like it's a little slice of history that we don't remember during the 1980s AIDS crisis, and what people didn't know, and how it affected families and everyone. But this was another one I was excited about when it was coming, but I had never read the whole thing, and I got a sample to talk about during a rep pick session, and I started to picked it up and started to flip through it and devoured every single page. So it's just beautiful. It's getting stunning reviews, and it's gorgeous. I'm sorry I don't have one to show you the interiors, because it's really beautiful and touching and very worthy. And I know that there are a couple copies on Diesel shelves that arrived.
I never used to read. Well, that's not entirely true, but I mean, that wasn't my first go-to with graphic novels. They have just come so far and it's just like a delight how many different kinds of narratives are being told with, through graphic novels in such a unique way, and delivering this stuff in a different way, the information in a different way, whatever it is, and this, I think, is a perfect example of something like that, and
yeah,
and the
definitely.
topic is really interesting, and really interesting to have it in this format as well. So
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. And I'm with you. It's not graphic novel. Like I so appreciate and admire the art form of them, but they're not my first go-to when I pick up something to read. And so I was just surprised at how easily I fell into this and how
yeah.
touching and moving it was. So it really, really beautiful, and just like a gorgeous coming of age, teenage coming of age story as well. But yeah, every page is just stunning. And like I said, it kind of breaks the traditional graphic novel form just a little bit, where there are, these full page spreads, and and Henny Penny, the Pomeranians, like, to know them is to love them. So yeah, spend some time with it, and hopefully you'll be like me and won't be able to put it down until the very end.
Beautiful.
Can I just add in here? I'm in Portland, and the author's doing an event at Powell's tonight. I just saw it last night. I was looking to see like who's in town this week doing an event, and so there's something there. So I was going to go because I was reading out the book and it looks great.
That's so cool.
That was yours, and you
excellent.
Yeah,
what
so
luck,
I love
Will.
that. Thanks, Will.
That's great.
Sure.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, tell the author hi from us, and that we talked about him today. All right, thank you, Shannon. Back to you, Kristin.
Okay. Last but not least for me is a wonderful middle grade read. It's about, I'd say, the ages on this would be 9 to 12. It's for the reader around that age group. It is called Ghost in the Night by Tiffany D. Jackson. So as you can tell, it's spooky. Tiffany Jackson is a phenomenal writer. She's very well known for her best-selling YA work. This is her second middle grade novel with us, with Scholastic, and it is fantastic. She had one that we published last summer called Blood in the Water, which it was just an absolutely huge hit, and we love that book so much. Still selling really well at Diesel and other bookstores, so definitely check that one out. This one, Blood in the Water, took place on Martha's Vineyard. This one takes place in Savannah, Georgia, which, according to all of the things they tell me, is probably the most ghost-ridden city in America. I didn't know that, but apparently it is. So in this book, the main character goes to Savannah. She's very into the ghost tours and all that kind of stuff, goes on a ghost tour, takes a photo that leads to a mystery and sends her down a rabbit hole of exploration about what this photo shows. Is it a ghost? Is it a mystery? All kinds of great stuff follows. And Tiffany's just such a solid writer. She really pulls you into the mystery. Her characters are just relatable and interesting and incredibly well written and fleshed out. She's just phenomenal. So this is for that kid who likes spooky. It's not horror, but it's definitely spooky and scary. And it's a great ghost story. Again, taking place in Savannah, Georgia. It's fantastic. And I think Tiffany Jackson, like I said, is just one of those writers that you'll want to read over and over again. And if you haven't tried Blood in the Water, her first middle grade book with us, definitely check that one out too. But this one's called Ghost in the Night. Tiffany D. Jackson. It just came out yesterday, and this package with the edges and the cover is so cool. It's going to stop you in your tracks. It's wonderful.
I was going to say, it's such a good looking book as well.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really good looking book, and she just has a way of pulling you in. And it's, again, for the kids. Blood in the Water and this one are for the kids who like spooky. She's the master of it.
I love when kids come in this age and they want. And that's another thing, along with the Odyssey that we've been talking about, is because Halloween now starts in July. That's how that works.
Summer week, right? Yeah.
That's it. That's it all the way through. But the kids come in and they like spooky, but it's sort of like in a restaurant when you go in and they ask you how spicy. It's like sort of how spooky. Like, what end on is very mild, like friendly ghosts,
right.
Like a skeleton.
How spooky do you want to get?
Skeleton and everything. Yeah. And then so you can kind of judge, which is nice, actually, to be able to, because a lot of kids are like, oh, I want to be scared, but they don't really want to be freaked out. So
they don't want horror. And this is definitely not that. This is really focused on the ghost story and the town and all of the spooky elements of this town, which is truly based on Savannah being a very, like I said, it's very much about the ghost tours and the history of the city. And she brings you all into that and does a really great job with the research on this.
Mm-hmm.
She spent a lot of time there. And she's just such a solid writer and just does such a great job with middle grade. I mean, we thought she was great at YA, and I think she's just absolutely getting the middle grade thing perfectly.
That's great, because middle grade is such a, it's such a fertile area, and
it's an important time.
Yeah, you've got readers, you catch them there.
Yeah, exactly. And then they become lifelong readers. Yeah,
absolutely. So excellent. Thank you, Kristin.
Of course.
All right, Will.
Okay. So my last book is another music book, which is this is a whole other story that I wasn't aware existed. So I'm kind of finding this one a lot of fun too. So this is Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. Nina Simone Langston Hughes and the Birth of the Black Power Movement. This is from University of North Carolina Press, which is one of my publishers I don't get to talk about as much as I'd like to. So I'm excited to have this book. It's coming out next month as well. And this is a story, and maybe you all knew this, but I did not. I didn't realize that Nina Simone and Langston Hughes even knew each other, but they had a very close friendship during his later years. I always forget how long Langston Hughes lived because I think of him as being of a different era. But he didn't die until 1967, and they met in, I think, the late 50s and immediately formed this very close bond and deep friendship and collaborated on her work and what she was, he wrote lyrics for some of the songs that she sang. He helped her choose some of the songs that she would put forward, and they kind of together formed a lot of the ideas that later led to what we think of as the Black Power movement. And the author, like one of the things that he points out is Langston Hughes wrote the song Power for Nina Simone, which is supposed to have been where Stokely Carmichael got the idea of Black Power, was from that song. So this was news to me. I didn't know that, but it's just such a great history and deep dive into this moment. So the book is beautifully written. It's W. Jason Miller, who's wrote a biography on Langston Hughes, that Reaction book published a few years ago, one of those short biographies. And he's just a terrific guy. He's kind of a high profile figure in the sort of biographical world of this era. So he's been on NPR and the Rachel Maddow show and other things talking about this moment in history. So I think for people who are interested in either the 60s and the Black Power movement, this is a great book. Certainly anybody that's interested in poetry and Langston Hughes, but especially people who are interested in Nina Simone, because so much of the book is about her and where she came from and her background and, her training as a classical musician and then, how that evolved into the career that she had later and her involvement in activism from Alabama and the Montgomery movements through her time in Africa. It's such a rich book, and I'm so excited that this is coming out. It's got some great images in it, too, so I think that'll really appeal to people as well.
I was so excited when I saw this on your list because I had absolutely no idea either that there was this connection. I was like, wait, what? But it makes sense, right? It just, as soon as you think about it, you're like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I've been reading about, for some reason, Nina Simone a lot lately. It seems like she's coming up and cropping up in a lot of different places. And this just seemed like it covered so many. I haven't read it, of course, but of course now I want to. And covers so much. And again, sort of like an intense kind of look at one thing that extends out, in many different directions. So what a great idea. What a great book. And I don't think a lot of people do know about this. I'm going to quiz my musicologist sister and see if she knows about this because she literally just got her PhD. So if she doesn't know, I'm never calling her doctor and that's it.
Don't hold it against her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to think
it is.
It makes you think like Langston Hughes' career. That's why it made me think of it in a new light too, to realize he was still doing so much that was so productive at the end of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Will. All right, Shannon, let's wrap it up for the day.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring us home with one of my favorite books from last year is coming into paperback, and it will be in the store, I believe, next Tuesday is its on sale date. It's called Seascraper by Benjamin Wood. And I could be wrong, but I think I've got it. Is that Richard from at the Diesel store is big fan of this too. So hopefully I'm not misquoting there. But it was longlisted for the Booker, as you can see, and you can see all those gorgeous words of praise on the cover. But this is a really slim, I think it clocks in under 200 pages, spare novel about a man named Thomas in his early 20s. It's set in a fictional coastal town in England, and he is living this dreary existence of being a shanker. He hooks up his horse and goes and scrapes the sea at low tide for shrimp, which is what his grandfather did every day. And it is, it starts as a book about him and his mom, and he dreams of being a folk singer, but he's really resigned to not saying that out loud until a movie producer comes into town scouting locations and he takes him out, and it sort of changes his whole idea of what can be. But it's slim and compact, and it's one of the most atmospheric books I've read in so long. You really feel you can feel the cold and the salt, and the sense of place is so beautiful and sticks with you. So it got glorious reviews when it came out, and I just hope that now it's going to be in paperback in big stacks in bookstores, that a wider readership is going to find it because it's really beautifully done.
One thing I really appreciate about we were talking about the Booker Prizes because last week they came out, they were announced the long list for the next.
Yeah.
And there's so many short books on the list, and I was like, I really love that. I do. You can read more. I do like an amazing short book, and the Booker, and it's another thing, I'm aligned with the Booker choice. Just for some reason, there are always books that I really like. And then new ones that, to discover. But I like the fact that it is both short and also in paperback, and it allows a little more, people to take a bit more of a chance, because I think
Yes.
sometimes people see that it's a Booker nominee, or, it seems like it's might take a little more to get into, and then they kind of put it aside. I have seen that happen.
Yeah. No, this I feel like is accessible but beautiful. Like the writing is spectacular, but it doesn't feel hard for sure. I
Right,
mean, it's
right.
just one of those beautiful atmospheric. I mean, what he does and the images that he, portrays in so few words is pretty spectacular.
I
Um,
loved it. Yeah. And it's just, it's one of those just beautiful, like clear, you know, get lost in books, but not for too long.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And now that we're like drowning in 100-degree heat all around,
Yeah.
it feels really good to imagine yourself freezing on the northern English shore.
Yeah. But really, because we're in it for the long haul now, it's going to be like this for a while. So settle in with anything that has snow on the cover or takes place in the Arctic, where apparently it was 90 degrees yesterday. So a really beautiful book. And I think, definitely helped to be in paperback, just to get some more readers in there. So thank you, Shannon. And thank you, everyone, for such absolutely delightful, wonderful books. I love that we had like a whole macaroni and cheese symposium today, along with like some really fabulous other books. I really appreciate you all being here and bringing them today. Kristin Rasmussen from Scholastic, Will Gawronski from Columbia University Press Consortium, and Shannon Grant from Simon & Schuster. I thank you. And I thank Joey, who is behind the scenes posting the links and all of the covers of the books for us to enjoy. Thank you, Joey. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. And we'd love to see you, even though we don't sort of see you, but we know you're there. So thank you. And we will be back again next week. We will have more books, we will have more reps, and we will have a lot more to talk about. So hope you will come back and join us then. And in the meantime, everybody, please stay cool, because it's hot everywhere. And, happy reading in your cool place. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.